How are you guys doing? Today is Friday, April 8th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Thursday, April 7th. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time, as we are in the second day of the 2022 MLB season. We are also in the closing days of the NBA season, not to mention that there's still a good amount of international soccer going on overseas, as the big tournament that happened yesterday, Europa League, is still in the midst of its quarterfinals. So with that said, I'm actually going to start with the NBA season, taking a look at what's going on with these teams in the final games of their season, starting off in Charlotte. The Hornets would go on to host the Orlando Magic. In the Orlando Magic second to last game of the season, the Hornets would beat them 128-101. The Hornets would win this matchup by 27 after outscoring Orlando by 18 in the second quarter alone. They would also go on to outscore the Magic by 12 in the fourth quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the Orlando Magic were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Chuma Okeke out of Auburn. He finished with 20 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in 34 minutes. He would go on to shoot 8 for 15 from the field, and he made 4 of his 11 three-pointers on the night. And, of course, on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Charlotte Hornets were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, their lone all-star LaMelo Ball. He would go on to finish with 26 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 10 for 21 from the field, 4 for 10 from 3, and he made both of his free throws. Their starting shooting guard out of Louisville, Terry Rozier, would go on to finish with 22 points and 8 rebounds in 26 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, and he would go on to make both of his free throws. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are now 41-39. At this moment, that is currently the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference. With this win, they have officially clinched not having a losing record for the year. They've won 6 of their last 10 games as they sit at the very bottom of the play-in picture, having clinched that last play-in spot. With 2 games left in their schedule, they sit 1 game behind the two-way tie of the Brooklyn Nets and the Atlanta Hawks, tied for the 8th best record in the East. They sit 6 games ahead of the Wizards and the Knicks, who are the first teams on the outside of the picture looking in. Holding on to that last play-in spot, they sit 11 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. With this loss, the Orlando Magic are now 21-60. That is currently the worst record in the East and the second worst record in the NBA. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games, and with 1 game left in their schedule, they are currently sitting 20 and a half games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets outside of the play-in picture. They are currently sitting 31 and a half games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat from just a couple hours drive away, as they are, or that is currently where they're sitting. They're one of 5 teams in the Eastern Conference that have failed to make the playoffs. They sit alongside the Detroit Pistons, the Indiana Pacers, the New York Knicks, and the Washington Wizards. Taking a look at what happened in Toronto, north of the Canadian border, the Raptors would beat the Philadelphia 76ers 119-114. The Raptors won this game by 5 after outscoring the Sixers by 9 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Sixers were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Joel Embiid. He finished with 30 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 turnovers in 37 minutes. He shot 10 for 22 from the field and 10 for 12 from the free throw line. The Sixers starting point guard, Tyrese Maxey, finished with 22 points and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden, would finish with 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 15 assists in 39 minutes. He shot 3 for 12 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and he would go on to make all 6 of his free throws. With this on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting power forward, NBA's former most improved player, Pascal Siakam. He would finish with 37 points, 11 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 steals in 37 minutes. While recording his triple-double, he would shoot 14 for 28 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, and he would shoot 8 for 10 from the free throw line. The Raptors starting shooting guard out of Duke, Trent Jr., finished with 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in 41 minutes. He shot 12 for 21 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3 as he made his only free throw. The Raptors starting power forward, Precious Achiuwa, would finish with 20 points and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. The Raptors rookie starting small forward, Scotty Barnes, finished with 13 points and 10 rebounds in 41 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are now 47-33. That is the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference. They've now won their last 2 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, with 2 games left in their schedule, they are sitting 2 games behind the 4th-place Philadelphia 76ers. They are also sitting 2 games ahead of the Chicago Bulls. And also with 2 games left in their schedule, they are trailing the first seed the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat to get a sense of where the Raptors are. And of course, with this loss, the Philadelphia 76ers are now 49-31. That is the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they've lost 4 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit half a game behind the 3rd-place Boston Celtics. They are sitting 2 games ahead of the Toronto Raptors. The highest seed that they can possibly get is the 2nd seed, as they trail the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 3 games with 2 games left in their schedule. Taking a look at what happened in Milwaukee on Lake Michigan, the Milwaukee Bucks would host the Boston Celtics. The defending champs would win by 6. They won it 127-121. After they outscored Boston by 7 in the first half, they were up by 10 at halftime. On the losing end of this matchup, the Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their starting point guard out of Oklahoma State, Marcus Smart. He finished with 29 points and 7 assists alongside 2 steals in 30 minutes. He shot 10 for 16 from the field, 7 for 12 from 3, and he made both of his free throws. The Celtics starting shooting guard and former All-Star Jalen Brown would go on to finish with 22 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists as well in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 20 from the field. He would go on to shoot 2 for 8 from 3 and 4 for 7 from the free throw line. Their starting senior, Daniel Tice, would go on to finish with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 12 from the field. He would make all 3 of his 3-pointers, and he shot 3 for 5 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and their starting point guard, Jrue Holiday. Antetokounmpo finished with 29 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes, as last year's NBA Finals MVP would shoot 11 for 21 from the field and 7 for 10 from the free throw line. Their starting point guard and champion, Jrue Holiday, would finish with 29 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 10 for 19 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3 as well. And then their all-star starting small forward, Chris Middleton, would go on to finish with 22 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals in 39 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3 as he made his only free throw. With this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are now 50-30. That is the 2nd best record in the East. They are the 7th team in the NBA to cross the 50-win threshold. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 2 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. And since the Heat have already clinched the best record in the East, the highest seed that the Bucks can get is the 2nd seed that they're holding right now. With 2 games left in their schedule, they are sitting half a game ahead of the 3rd-place Boston Celtics as well. So, of course, they have to win their next 2 games if they want to hold that seed. With this loss, the Boston Celtics are now 50-31. That is the 3rd best record in the East, as they've lost 3 of their last 10 games. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture, they sit half a game behind the 2nd-place Milwaukee Bucks, as they simply just have 1 more loss than Milwaukee. And in that picture, they are sitting half a game ahead of the 4th-place Philadelphia 76ers. And with 1 game left in their schedule, they are trailing the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat by 2.5 games in the schedule in this season. as they are unable to overtake them for that top spot. Taking a look at what's happening in Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the San Antonio Spurs. The Timberwolves would beat the Spurs 127 to 121 as Anthony Edwards would almost drop 50. The Timberwolves would win this game by 6 after they outscored the Spurs by 12 in the second quarter, by 8 in the third. So they were up. They would outscore the Spurs by 20 in the middle quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the San Antonio Spurs were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Keldin Johnson, out of Kentucky. He finished with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 15 from the field. Their starting center, Jakob Poeltl, would finish with 15 points, 17 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 31 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field, and he would shoot 1 for 2 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting small forward out of Georgia, Anthony Edwards. He would go on to finish with 49 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists in 39 minutes as the number 1 pick from 2 years ago, would shoot 16 for 28 from the field, 6 for 14 from 3, and 11 for 14 from the foul line. The Timberwolves elite starting center out of Kentucky, Karl Anthony Towns, finished with 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists as he had 5 fouls in 33 minutes. Towns shot 7 for 18 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3, and he would shoot 3 for 5 from the free throw line. With this win, the Timberwolves are now 46 and 35. That is the 7th best record in the Western Conference, and they've won 5 of their last 10. They have failed to clinch a playoff spot as they are going to be playing in the play-in round. Looking at where they sit in that playoff picture, they sit 2 games behind the 6th-place Denver Nuggets, and they sit 5.5 games ahead of the 8th place Los Angeles Clippers as the Timberwolves have 1 game left in their schedule. Overall, they trail the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 17.5 games this season. With this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are 34 and 46. That is the 10th best record in the Western Conference as they've now lost 3 of their last 10 games. They are sitting 2 games behind the 9th place New Orleans Pelicans, and they sit 3 games ahead of the Los Angeles Lakers, the first team on the outside of the picture looking in. Sitting at the bottom of the play-in picture, they are trailing the Suns by 29 whole games in the conference with 2 games left in their schedule. Taking a look now at what happened in New Orleans, the Pelicans would host the Portland Trailblazers. The Pelicans would go on to beat the Trailblazers 127 to 194. They won this game by 33. They would outscore the Trailblazers by 8 to lead the Trailblazers by 12 at the half. They would go on to outscore the Blazers by 12 in the third and by 8 in the fourth as they outscored them by 20 in the second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Portland Trailblazers were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Drew Eubanks. He would go on to finish with 20 points and 5 rebounds in 26 minutes. He shot 9 for 11 from the field, and he made both of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New Orleans Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Mercer, CJ McCollum. He would finish with 23 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3 as well. With this, off the bench for the Pelicans, their center, Willie Hernan Gomez, will go on to finish with 17 points and 14 rebounds in 26 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field and made all 7 of his free throws. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are 36 and 44. That is the 9th best record in the Western Conference. They've won their last 2 games and 7 of their last 10. Sitting in this play-in picture with 2 games left in their schedule, they sit 4 games behind the 8th place LA Clippers as they can't go any higher. They sit 2 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, who are sitting at the bottom of the play-in picture, who may as well be their first matchup going into the round. And they are currently trailing the Phoenix Suns by 27 games at the moment in the conference. With this loss, the Portland Trailblazers are 27 and 53. That is the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference. They have now lost their last 9 games. That is the longest active losing streak in the NBA. They've now lost 9 of their last 10 because that's how a 9-game losing streak works. With 2 games left in their schedule, they are sitting 7 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs. So they are one of 5 teams in the West that have failed to qualify for the playoffs. They sit ahead of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Houston Rockets, as they sit behind the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings, as well as all the teams that qualify for the playoffs. Taking a look at what happened in the Mile High City, the Denver Nuggets would host the Memphis Grizzlies. The Nuggets would beat the Grizzlies 122 to 109. They would win this game by 13 after they outscored the Grizzlies by 13 in the second quarter to be up by 17 at the half. They would also outscore the Grizzlies by 10 in the third quarter, outscoring them by 23 in the middle quarters. On the losing end of this matchup, the Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of TCU, Desmond Bane. He finished with 14 points in 22 minutes. He shot 5 for 11 from the field. He made both of his threes, and he made both of his free throws as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Denver Nuggets were led in scoring by their elite starting center and last year's regular season MVP, Nikola Jokic. He finished with 35 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 16 for 24 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and he made both of his free throws as well. Their starting power forward, Aaron Gordon, would finish with 22 points and 5 rebounds alongside 5 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field. He made 3 of his 5 3-pointers, and he made all 5 of his free throws. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 48 and 33. That is the 6th best record in the Western Conference, as they've won 6 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they have, of course, clinched the last Western Conference playoff spot, meaning that they will not play in the play-in game. They sit half a game behind the 5th-place Utah Jazz, and they currently sit 2 games ahead of the 7th-place Minnesota Timberwolves, as the Nuggets have 1 more game left in their schedule. Overall, they are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 15.5 games at the moment. With this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are 55 and 25. That is the 2nd best record in the Western Conference and the NBA as a whole. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 3 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 8 games behind the leading Phoenix Suns, and they are sitting 4 games ahead of the 3rd place Golden State Warriors. And considering the Grizzlies have 2 games left in their schedule, they are going into this playoff picture with the 2 seed in the West. Taking a look, last but not least, at what happened in San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors would host the Los Angeles Lakers in the Chase Center. The Warriors would beat the Lakers 128 to 112. They won this game by 16 after they outscored the Lakers by 8 in the second quarter. They would go on to outscore the Lakers by 9 in the fourth to continue their 13-point deficit up for the entire second half. On the losing end of this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Talen Horton-Tucker. He finished with 40 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 15 for 28 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, and 8 for 9 from the free throw line. The Lakers starting shooting guard, Malik Monk, would finish with 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field. He would go on to shoot 5 for 6 from the free throw line as well. The Lakers' future Hall of Fame starting center, Dwight Howard, finished with 16 points and 12 rebounds in 25 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field. He made his only 3-pointer of the day, and he shot 3 for 4 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their elite starting shooting guard, Klay Thompson. He finished with 33 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 12 for 22 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, as he made all 3 of his free throws on the night. The Warriors starting shooting guard, Jordan Poole, would finish with 19 points, 11 assists as well in 33 minutes, as he shot 7 for 15 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and he made both of his free throws. The Warriors all-star starting small forward out of Kansas, Andrew Wiggins, finished with 17 points and 4 rebounds in 27 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field and 3 for 5 from 3. The Warriors all-star starting power forward, Draymond Green, would finish with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 26 minutes. He shot 5 for 9 from the field. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are 51 and 29. That is currently the 3rd best record in the Western Conference. That is the 4th best record in the NBA, as the Miami Heat have a better record than them as well. The Warriors have won their last 3 games, and they've won 4 of their last 10. In the Western Conference playoff picture, they are sitting 4 games behind the second place Memphis Grizzlies. They are sitting a full game ahead of the fourth place Dallas Mavericks, as the Warriors have 2 games left in their schedule. Overall, they are trailing the Western Conference leading Phoenix Suns by 12 games in the conference, as they cannot seed any higher than the 3rd seed that they are right now. With this loss, the Los Angeles Lakers are 31-49. That is the 5th worst record in the Western Conference, as they've now lost their last 8 games. That is the 2nd longest active losing streak in the Western Conference. The Trailblazers have a longer losing streak. The Lakers have lost 9 of their last 10 games, and because they have 2 games left in their schedule and they sit 3 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, the Lakers are the 5th team from the Western Conference that have been eliminated from playoff contention, as they sit ahead of the Sacramento Kings, the Portland Trailblazers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Houston Rockets. With that said, that is what the NBA is looking like as we are getting into today, and because teams are in their last couple games and some of them are already seeded out for the playoffs, some of these teams will of course bench their starters, because you normally see this at this point in the season. The first primetime game today will be at 7 o'clock on NBA TV, as the Detroit Pistons are going to host the defending champs Milwaukee Bucks. The Pistons enter this matchup with the 2nd worst record in the East, as they've lost 6 of their last 10. Led by last year's number 1 overall pick, Cade Cunningham. They are currently sitting 18 games outside of the playoff picture with 2 games left in their schedule. Looking at the Bucks coming into this matchup, they are holding the 2nd best record in the East, as they've won their last 2 games in 6 of their last 10. The Heat have already clinched this the top playoff seed, but the Bucks are only sitting half a game ahead of the 3rd place Boston Celtics, so this is a must-win for them as well. Looking at the second game that's going to be on prime time in Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz, who are holding the 5th best record in the West, are going to host the NBA leading Phoenix Suns in Vivint Arena. The Jazz enter this matchup having won their last 2 games and 4 of their last 10. With 2 games left in their schedule, they are sitting half a game ahead of the 6th place Denver Nuggets, so I imagine for seeding purposes, they are going to try to go all out and win this game. The Suns, on the other hand, are sitting 8 games ahead of the 2nd best record in the NBA with 2 games left in their schedule. I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns sat their starters, but that's currently where they're sitting, as they're already going into this playoffs. They're going into the playoffs with the number 1 seed in the West. Taking a look at what's happening outside of prime time at 7 o'clock in Capital One Arena, the Washington Wizards are going to host the New York Knicks, as both of those teams have the same record. At 7:30, the Brooklyn Nets are going to host the Cleveland Cavaliers, as both of these teams may face off against one another in the play-in. At 7:30 in Scotiabank Arena, the Toronto Raptors are going to host the Houston Rockets, as the Rockets hold the worst record in the NBA at the moment. At 8 o'clock, the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat are going to host the Atlanta Hawks in FTX Arena, as that could be a first-round matchup. At the same time, at 8, the Chicago Bulls are going to host the Charlotte Hornets, as the Hornets are still trying to seed themselves out within the play-in picture. At 8:30, the Dallas Mavericks are going to host the Portland Trailblazers in the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Not to mention that at 10:30, the LA Lakers are going to host the Oklahoma City Thunder, as both of these teams have already failed to qualify for the playoffs this year. But that is what the NBA is looking like today, as we navigate through it one day at a time. But taking a look now at what is going on with the MLB, as yesterday was the very first day of the MLB season. But of course, I will go on looking back at the NBA, noting that this is the very first day of the baseball season. I will note that the NBA season itself will end on Sunday in a couple of days, so that's where we are right there. But taking a look at what's going on, or what happened from the very first day of baseball on opening day 2022, the first match would take place in Wrigley in Chicago, as the Cubs would host the Milwaukee Brewers from within their division. The Cubs would end up beating the Brewers 5-4, as the big play for them would be a 2-run double in the bottom of the 7th from Ian Happ. On the losing end of this matchup, the Milwaukee Brewers would go on to be led by their starting pitcher, Corbin Burns. He would pitch 5 innings, as he would allow 3 earned runs and 4 hits in that span. He would strike out 4 batters as he walked 3. The loss would be given to their first relief pitcher, Aaron Ashby. Ashby would go on to pitch 1.2 innings, as he allowed 1 earned run. He would strike out a batter in that span. In the Brewers batting lineup, their shortstop Willy Adames would go 2 for 5 with an RBI on the day. Their designated hitter Andrew McCutchen would end up going 2 for 5 with a run. Their first baseman Rowdy Tellez would go 2 for 4 with a run as well. And then, of course, on the winning end of this matchup, the Chicago Cubs were led by their starting pitcher Kyle Hendricks. In the 5.1 innings he pitched, he would allow 5 hits and only 1 earned run as he struck out 7 batters. The win was attributed to Chicago's second relief pitcher on the day, Chris Martin. Chris Martin would go on to allow no earned runs in the .2 innings that he pitched. He would blow a save, but with this win, he's now 1-0 on the season. The save would go to the Cubs closer for the day, David Robertson. He would go on to allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he would go on to strike out a batter. And in the batting lineup for Chicago, their left fielder Ian Happ would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. Additionally, their center fielder Jason Hayward would go 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 1-0, as the Milwaukee Brewers are now 1-0, just to get a sense of where these two teams are sitting at this very moment. The Brewers are tied with the Pirates for the worst record in the NL Central, and the Cubs are tied with the Reds and the Cardinals at 1-0 for the best record in the division. Taking a look at what happened in Kansas City, the Royals would host the Cleveland Guardians in the first time that the Cleveland baseball team would be known as the Guardians. The Royals would win this game 3-1. This game was tied going into the 7th, and it would be a double from Bobby Witt Jr. to put the Royals above, and then another single from Andrew Benintendi to give them the lead. To give them, of course, their third run, On the losing end of this matchup, the Cleveland Guardians were led by their elite starting pitcher, Shane Bieber. Bieber would pitch 4.2 innings as he would allow only 1 earned run and 3 hits in that span. He would walk no batters as he would strike out 4 on the day. The loss for Cleveland would go to their closer for the day, Tristan McKenzie. He would in the 3 innings that he pitched, he would allow 2 earned runs and 2 hits as he struck out a batter and even walked a couple. With this loss, he's now 0-1 on the season. The only player for Cleveland that would record more than 1 hit would be their center fielder, Miles Straw. He would go 2-for-4 with a run on the day. And on the winning end of this matchup, the Kansas City Royals would be led by their starting pitcher, Zach Greinke, their former Cy Young winner. In the 5.2 innings he pitched, he would allow only 1 earned run and 5 hits. He would strike out 1 batter and even walk 1 on the day. The win will go to Kansas City's closer, Scott Barlow. Scott Barlow would allow no earned runs in the 2 innings that he pitched as he allowed 2 hits. He would walk no batters as he would strike out 3 as well. With this win, he's now 1-0 on the season. In the Kansas City batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. But of course, a very big game from their rookie third baseman, Bobby Witt Jr. He would go 1-for-4 with an RBI and a run in his opening day debut for Kansas City. With this win, the Kansas City Royals are now 1-0. That is the best record in the American League Central. With this loss, the Cleveland Guardians are 0-1. That is the worst record in the American League Central. Taking a look at what happened in St. Louis, within the same state on the other side, the St. Louis Cardinals would host the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cardinals would end up shutting out the Pirates 9-0 as they would score 4 of their first 9 runs. They scored 4 of their 9 runs in the first couple innings to really kind of get it over with. On the losing end of this matchup, the Pirates were led by their starting pitcher, JT Brubaker. He would allow 4 earned runs in the 3 innings that he pitched as he struck out 2 and even walked 3 batters. With this loss, he's now 0-1 on the 2022 season. The only player for the Pirates that would finish with more than 1 hit was their first baseman, Yoshi Tsutsugo. He would finish 2-for-3 for the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown St. Louis Cardinals were led by their starting pitcher, Adam Wainwright. He would allow no earned runs and 5 hits in the 6 innings that he pitched as he walked no batters and struck out 6. With this win, he's now 1-0 on the season. In St. Louis's batting lineup, their left fielder Tyler O'Neill will go 2-for-3 with 5 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the season. Their elite first baseman Paul Goldschmidt will go 1-for-1 as he walked 4 times and finished with 2 runs. Their elite third baseman Nolan Arenado would finish 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the season in the 8th inning. And then their center fielder Harrison Bader would go on to finish 2-for-4 with 2 runs on the day. With this win, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 1-0. They are tied with the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds for the best record in the NL Central. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 0-1. They are tied with the Milwaukee Brewers for the worst record in their division. Taking a look at what happened in the nation's capital, the Washington Nationals hosted the New York Mets. The Mets would go on to beat the Nationals 5-1 after scoring all 5 of their runs from the 5th through 7th innings. On the losing end of this matchup, the Washington Nationals were led in pitching by the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Patrick Corbin. He would allow 2 earned runs in the 4 innings that he pitched as he allowed 5 hits. He would walk 2 batters and strike out 4. With this loss, he's 0-1 on the season. In the Nationals batting lineup, their elite right fielder Juan Soto would go 1-for-3 with an RBI and a run, as he would go on to hit his very first home run of the Nats season. Their starting catcher Keibert Ruiz would go 2-for-4 as he went 2-for-4 on the day. And on the winning end of this matchup, the New York Mets were led by their starting pitcher Tyler McGill. Tyler McGill would pick up his very first win of the season as he would allow no earned runs and only 3 hits in the 5 innings that he pitched. He would walk no batters and strike out 6 in those 5 innings. With this win, he's now 1-0, like I just said. In the New York Mets batting lineup, their elite first baseman Pete Alonso would go 2-for-4 as he had a run for the day. Their second baseman Robinson Cano would go 2-for-3 as he had 2 runs. Their center fielder Mark Canha would end up going 2-for-3 as he would finish with an RBI and a run as well. Their left fielder Jeff McNeil would go 2-for-4 as he had an RBI as well. With this win, the New York Mets are now 1-0. That is the best record in the National League East. With this loss, the Washington Nationals are now 0-1. They are tied with the defending champs Atlanta Braves for the worst record in the National League East, as they trailed the Mets by a game in the division. Taking a look at what happened in Atlanta, the defending champs Atlanta Braves would host the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds would beat the Braves 6-3 after the Braves unveiled their new 2021 World Series championship banner. The Reds would, of course, go up by 3 in the first 3 innings, but then they would also score 3 runs in the 6th inning to put them up, thanks to a big home run from Brandon Drury. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown defending champs Atlanta Braves were led in pitching by their starting pitcher Max Fried. The champ would allow 5 earned runs and 8 hits in the 5.2 innings that he pitched as he struck out 5. With this loss, Max Fried is 0-1 on the season. In the Braves batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their third baseman Austin Riley. He would go 3-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he would go on to hit his first home run of the season. On the Red side of this matchup, they were led by their starting pitcher, Tyler Mahle. Tyler Mahle would pick up his first win of the year. He allowed no earned runs. He would, as in 3 hits in 5 innings pitched, as he would strike out 7. He would also walk a couple batters as well. With this win, he's now 1-0. The save for Cincinnati would go to their closer, Tony Santillan. He would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2. This would be his very first save of the year. In the Reds batting lineup, their second baseman and now second-year player Jonathan India, former Rookie of the Year, would go 2-for-5 with a run. Their shortstop Kyle Farmer would go 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run. And then their third baseman Brandon Drury would go 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his first home run of the season. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 1-0. They are tied with the Chicago Cubs and the St. Louis Cardinals for the best record in the NL Central. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are 0-1. They are tied with the Washington Nationals for the worst record in the National League East, as both these teams sit a full game behind the NL East leading New York Mets. Taking a look at what happened in Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels would host the Houston Astros. The Astros would beat the Angels 3-1 after scoring 2 runs in the 8th inning, thanks to home runs from Bregman and Yordan Alvarez. Looking at how the Angels fared on the losing end, they were led by their elite starting pitcher in last year's American League MVP, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani would allow 1 earned run and 4 hits in the 4.2 innings that he pitched. He would strike out 9 on the day as he also walked a batter. With this loss, Ohtani is 0-1 on the season. In the Angels batting lineup, their second baseman would be the only player that had more than 1 hit, as Matt Duffy will go 2-for-3 on the day. On the Astros side of this matchup, on the winning end, they were led by their starting pitcher, Framber Valdez. He would go on to allow no earned runs and 2 hits in 6.2 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The save would go to the Astros closer Ryan Presley. Presley would allow no earned runs and only one hit in the ninth inning. This would be his very first save of the year. In the Astros batting lineup, their designated hitter Michael Brantley would go on to finish going 2 for 5 for the day as he had a run. Their third baseman Alex Bregman would go 2 for 4 as he had 2 RBIs and a run as well. Their center fielder Chas McCormick will go on to finish 2 for 4 for the day. With this win, the Houston Astros, the defending American League champs, are now 1-0 as they hold the best record in the American League West Division. With this loss, the LA Angels are now 0-1. That is the worst record in the American League West. They sit a full game behind the Houston Astros at the moment. Last but not least, taking a look at what happened in Phoenix, Arizona. The Arizona Diamondbacks would host the San Diego Padres. The Diamondbacks would beat the Padres 4-2. They would win this game by 2 after scoring all 4 of their runs in the ninth inning, as they would score off of a wild pitch, which would lead to Christian Walker scoring. And then Seth Beer would hit a 3-run walk-off home run to give the Diamondbacks their first win of the season, as that would, of course, be the play of the night. On the losing end of this matchup, the San Diego Padres were led by their elite starting pitcher, Yu Darvish. He would allow no earned runs, no hits for that matter, in the 6 innings that he pitched. He would allow 4 walks as he would strike out 3 batters on the day. The loss for San Diego will go to their setup relief pitcher, Robert Suarez. He would not allow a single run in the ninth inning as he allowed 3 earned runs on the day, as his earned runs would be the runs that would score. He would walk 2 batters as well. With his loss, he's 0-1. The blown save, the pitch that would give up the win, would go to Craig Stammen. Stammen would allow 1 earned run on the day. In the Padres batting lineup, no one on the team would go on to finish with more than 1 hit. However, their designated hitter, Luke Voigt, their newest designated hitter, along with Austin Nola, their catcher, will go on to finish with an RBIs on the day. On the winning end of this matchup, the Arizona Diamondbacks were led by their starting pitcher, Madison Bumgarner. He allowed 1 earned run and 1 hit in the 3 innings that he pitched, as he walked 4 and struck out 2. The win for this matchup for Arizona would go to their closer, Joe Mantiply. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. With this win, Mantiply is 1-0. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their designated hitter, Seth Beer, would go on to finish 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. It was his 3-run home run and his first home run of the season that gave the Diamondbacks this win. With this win, the Diamondbacks are now 1-0. They are holding the best record in the National League West. I guess their fans might as well take a picture of that one, just to get a sense of where they are. And, of course, with this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 0-1. That is the worst record in the National League West, as they are sitting a full game behind the division-leading Diamondbacks. That is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Taking a look at what's going on today, looking at the games that are going to be somewhat I guess all the other games are going to be like on streaming services, but I guess at 1:05, the New York Yankees, led by their elite starting pitcher Garrett Cole, are going to open their season up against the Boston Red Sox, as the Red Sox are led by Nathan Eovaldi. At 1:10, in Detroit, Eduardo Rodriguez and the Detroit Tigers are going to host Lucas Giolito and the Chicago White Sox. Giolito making his debut this year, as after he would go on to pitch a no-hitter last season. If not a perfect game. At 2:20 on Wrigley, the Chicago Cubs are going to host the Milwaukee Brewers. Justin Steele is going to make the start for Chicago, as Brandon Woodruff, an all-star from last season, is going to make a start for the Milwaukee Brewers. At 3:05 in Citizens Bank Park, Aaron Nola and the Philadelphia Phillies are going to host Frankie Montas and the Oakland Athletics. At 3:10, Shane McClanahan and the Tampa Bay Rays are going to open their season against John Means and the Baltimore Orioles. John Means would be one of the pitchers that threw a perfect game last year. At 4:10 in Coors Field, the Colorado Rockies are going to open their season against the LA Dodgers. The Rockies are going to be led by Kyle Freeland. The Dodgers are going to be led by their elite starting pitcher, Walker Buehler. At the same time, at 4:10 in Target Field in Minneapolis, Joe Ryan and the Minnesota Twins are going to host Robbie Ray and the Seattle Mariners. Robbie Ray, the Mariners' elite starting pitcher, coming off of his Cy Young season with the Tampa Bay Rays. At 4:35 in Oracle Park, Logan Webb and the San Francisco Giants, who had the best record in baseball last year, are going to host the Miami Marlins. At 7:05 in Nationals Park, the Washington Nationals are going to host the New York Mets. Josiah Gray is going to make the start for Washington as the Mets are going to be led by their goated starting pitcher, Max Scherzer. At 7:07 in the Rogers Center in Toronto, Canada, the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be led by their starting pitcher, Jose Barrios, against John Gray and the Texas Rangers. At 7:20 in Truist Park in Atlanta, Georgia, the defending champs Atlanta Braves are going to host the Cincinnati Reds. Charlie Morton's going to make the start for the defending champs. Reaver San Martin is going to make the start for the Cincinnati Reds. At 9:38, Reed Detmers and the LA Angels are going to host Jake Odorizzi in the defending American League champs Houston Astros at Angel Stadium. And then last but not least, at 9:40 in Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, Merrill Kelly and the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to host Sean Manaea and the San Diego Padres. So that's what baseball is looking like as we are in the very beginning of that season, as some teams are going to get their starts today as well. Taking a look at what's going on with the Masters before I take a look at what's going on outside. Yesterday was the first day of the Masters tournament. The current leader is Sung Jae Im from South Korea, as he's currently leading with a score of 5 under. Second place right now is Cameron Smith out of Australia, and then tied for third you have Dustin Johnson from America, Danny Willett from England, Joaquin Niemann from Chile, and Scotty Scheffler from the United States as well. They're all going to tee off from about 9:30 to 2 o'clock today, as many people are going to have their eyes on the leaders. Taking a look at what's going on outside of the U.S. for the moment, looking at what's going on with soccer. Yesterday, the story was the first leg of the quarterfinal round for Europa League. In that tournament, in the first leg that took place in Leipzig in East Germany, Leipzig would draw with Atalanta 1-1. First goal will come from Luis Muriel of Atalanta, and then Leipzig would get their lone goal off of an Atalanta own goal. So with this matchup, with this win, the next leg is going to be played in Italy. Taking a look at what happened in Portugal, Braga would host Rangers. Braga would beat Rangers 1-0 as their lone goal came from Abel Ruiz. They're going to Scotland for the second leg of this matchup. And looking at what happened going back to Germany, in Frankfurt, Eintracht Frankfurt would host Barcelona. In the first leg, this would end up as a draw for both teams. Eintracht Frankfurt's lone goal will come from Ansgar Knauf in the 48th minute, as Barca's lone goal came from their Spanish forward Ferran Torres in the 66th minute. The second leg of this matchup will be in Spain. And then jumping to England, West Ham United would host Olympique Lyonnais. West Ham would they would draw with Lyon actually 1-1. First goal of this matchup came from Jared Bowen of West Ham as they played their entire second half down a man. Lyon's lone goal came from Tanguy Ndombele. As with this draw, the next leg of this matchup is going to be played in France. So that is what we are looking like as we still have 4 more matches to be played in this round. Taking a look at what's going on with domestic soccer as we are getting into yet another weekend of soccer. Taking a look at what's going on with Spanish La Liga specifically. Sevilla, who is tied with Barcelona and Atletico Madrid for the second best record in Spain, is going to host Granada. Granada enters this matchup with the 16th best record in all of Spain. With a win here, Sevilla would temporarily jump back up into second place, or even with a draw for that matter, because they're the only Spanish team that's on today. Jumping into the German Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund, the second best team in Germany, is going to host VfB Stuttgart. Dortmund enters this matchup sitting 9 points behind Bayern Munich in the table. A win here could at least bring them to within 6. And then looking at their opponents, they are going to be facing off against Stuttgart, the 15th best team in the Bundesliga. So this is an opportunity for them to pick up points and at least pick up ground temporarily, as they have as many games played as Bayern. But that's all that I have for you today as we navigate through this world of sports one day at a time. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I'm going to come back tomorrow on Saturday, April 9th for another episode. And of course, until then, I want to thank everyone once again. I hope all is well, and I will catch you with more tomorrow. Thanks for listening to this piece. Thanks ESPN, the NBA, MLB, and FIFA, even the PGA websites for giving me all the facts and figures that I needed for this website. I do hope all is well, and I would love to catch you with more tomorrow. And thanks for sticking around with me as we are getting ready to go through my third MLB season while doing this show. Thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.